Hey John, welcome back to the table. So I've got just so many questions for you. You've been doing this for a really long time. I mean, you've been following real estate one way or another since you said the '80s, and in construction one way or another since then too. So that's over 40 years of knowledge when it comes to houses and all the different things that you can find. Today we want to discuss something that comes up fairly regularly for a lot of people who want to talk to me about what direction to go when it comes to getting their home secured. Is building a home, getting some land and building that home versus getting an existing home, something that you'd find in a neighborhood or maybe in the mountains or out in the plains. But I mean, really just a lot of experience that you've come to acquire over the years when it comes to remodeling homes, fix and flips, residential construction, just a lot of stuff that you've had to deal with and guiding people through the process and that sort of thing.
Yes, well, you're right. Some ways it doesn't feel like that long, and yes, it has been. Let's just say I've been in the trenches and done a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I actually hear this a lot of people asking is, hey, I'd like to buy some land and build. And immediately my brain goes to, do you know what you're getting into?
That's a fair question. I think they're probably asking themselves also.
Well, surprisingly enough, not enough do. Because a lot of people have these preconceived notions that, they can do a lot of the work themselves, it's going to be cheaper, and blah, blah, blah. And there's some definite good points to it. I mean, yeah, you can get exactly what you want.
It's very possible.
Well, they think they can.
With the right time and money, yeah, absolutely. Exactly. You can get whatever you want.
Yeah, so sometimes, very often the vision exceeds the budget. Mm-hmm. But the other side of that is like some of the reason, what drives them to thinking that.
Mm-hmm. Good question.
Yeah, I think that was your question.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, there are a few things, and one of it's, it's oftentimes market driven. Interest rates or the price of homes we've seen gradually go up since 2012, 2013. So it makes complete sense why somebody would be thinking about this. How do I save money with arguably one of the most expensive purchases I'm going to make of my lifetime? And I think it's something fair that should be addressed. And a lot of it is cool. I can cut corners by saving money on construction, but I don't think that's really the case. Sure, maybe you can get a good deal on lumber, but that doesn't cover all the framing, everything that goes else into a house, the construction, architects, engineers. I mean, there's just a lot that goes into it. What are some of the aspects that somebody who would want to buy land would need to consider when it comes to constructing a home?
Well, there's some basics. First is like where they want to build. Mm-hmm. And my experience is the majority are thinking of the foothills, the mountains here in Colorado. They're not thinking about
that view.
There's some, but very few. Like, there's an empty lot down there in Littleton, and they can just build a house there. Well, they can, and but most people I talk to, they have this dream. It was like, nice setting, half acre, or several acres up here, like an evergreen or a conifer, or just somewhere in the foothills, and still be close to town. And that's probably the most common. But what they don't always consider is just like not all lots are the same. There's some priced really low, and there's a reason.
There's a concept scarcity of land, and there's a lot of good land that's already been built on in the Denver metro area. So I understand why people would want to expand into the mountains, the plains, mm-hmm. north of Denver, south of Denver, and I'm talking Denver metro area. So
yeah, or just to get away from the crowds.
That's fair too.
But here's the thing. It's just like, I found this lot for $10,000, and then we go look at it.
Yeah, and it's totally different.
Okay, so where's the house gonna go?
I'm looking at drainage issues over here. It's in a lowland. It might be a flood zone. There's a lot of things that need to be considered before even buying this
well, it's even simpler than that actually. On this first visit, can you build? Mm-hmm. It's like, is this a sheer wall we're looking at?
Yeah, is this going to be flat land?
I've seen lots of those where people go, okay, well, where's the lot? And I said, that's it there. I mean, you can't even get on it without finding some other access because there was a cut in the road making a wall. Or it's down this cliff here. See, there's the lot.
Wow.
And so, yeah, those are extremes, but it happens often.
Does.
And that's part of the reason why, well, it's only $10,000 for this 5-acre lot.
That makes sense.
It's
Yeah.
like it's going to cost you a fortune to even think about building on it.
That is wild to consider. There are a lot of hidden costs when it comes to making this actuality, maybe this dream into something that's tangible. One of the things is loans. Not everyone has the $500,000, the $1 million that they want to spend on this property, and they want to leverage some maybe somebody else's money in order to build this, and it's possible, but they're not totally aware of all of the fees and rates that are going to come along with that. How much money do you typically need in order to get a loan just to buy the land?
Well, it depends on the lender, of course, and not all lenders can do this. There's some specialized, even in Colorado, there's some specialized lenders for land.
Like different capabilities.
Yeah, and well, just some don't want to mess with it.
That's
and but typically, the lowest I've seen is like they want 30%, and more often it's 40 or 50% down payment
I
to
see
buy
that
the
more
land.
common. I think 30% is a hell of a deal.
I said it's rare.
Yeah.
And I think it's a matter of lender and circumstance too. So I tell people to prepare. You're looking at 40 to 50% down payment, and and let's just say you pick a lot that fits 150,000. Okay, you're 60 to 75,000 out of pocket right out the gate. And then there's
That must be that carpenter math coming through. Years of just having to.
Yeah, I apologize. Yeah, I've done many math calculations in here
Yep.
over the years. But the thing about it is okay, they think that, we can get a loan to build. Well, that's technically separate, and you really need to have it all figured out before you even apply for the loan.
Wow.
Like, how much is it going to cost to build what I want? Well, most people don't know that number, and the guy at the bank's not going to tell you, or gal. And so you're going to end up starting this design build process. So I recommend, hey, go find a builder that builds in this area,
And they have all the connections that you need, the architect, the engineer,
Sometimes.
the different crews that do anywhere from the foundation to the framing, the electrical. I mean, there's just so many components. If you want to do a fireplace in there, that might require some sort of specialty in construction. I mean, it can get very intricate, I imagine.
Yeah, but the idea is it's like, okay, they can give you an idea. So, okay, what do you need? So how many bedrooms, how many baths? They can start with coming up with a budget. Okay, so this is going to end up being, 2,000 square feet, and they can throw an average number. And but then before you can even get to a hard number, you have to get more precise. And so you are going to be looking at, okay, what does this lot look like? We're going to probably have to have a soils test before we can even do all the design work, because the soils test is going to determine what your foundation is like.
Wow. Okay.
And so you got
shape of it.
So then there's the designer, the architect, there's the structural engineer, and the other things you're going to want to get done. You may end up before you come up with a hard number, you don't need to drill the well, but that's a cost to keep in mind.
Oh yeah, especially if you're building up in the mountains, if you're going to need wells, septic, if you're going to need a leach field, if you need to get, we haven't even talked about the utilities that go
Getting
into
power,
the property.
getting your energy, to the house. There's most places in the foothills, you don't have gas, it's going to be propane. Natural gas is not available. There's some areas that have it. Evergreen's got a lot of neighborhoods with gas, but otherwise, and that's part of figuring the cost. Okay, you're building this house. How far from the road? Is there electricity at the road? Getting it from there to there, that's on you. That's on the person wanting to build. And so those are all costs. And there's dozens of other little things. And I'll throw in what a lot of people don't think about. It's like, oh, this is a nice hilly lot. Well, the steeper, hillier it is, the more expensive your driveway is going to cost.
Oh yeah.
It's like if you got a nice flat right from the road, piece of cake, they can scrape it in a day. That's one thing. But very often the properties where that needs to be engineered, and you got these loaders and whatnot just cutting the driveway, which may have some zigzags in it and all that.
I've been in many driveways where they can't do concrete because the soil moves, or it's got to be redone often.
There's ways they can get around it, but they end up in mountains. They're usually doing asphalt because it's got more give.
Oh, okay. That's how they get around it. So yeah, that's fair. So a lot of unaddressed costs that come to building a home, which is kind of expected. I think anyone who's thinking about it can do it. I guess it becomes a conversation of how capable are they to do that? Is their credit in the right place? Is there savings in the right place? Do they have a builder that they are ready to go in with? What else could be there? Credit, savings,
Well, that's just and
time.
The lender is going to vet.
A lot of that.
Vet the borrower on this. Like, can they actually do this? They're not going to approve you for a loan until you have all your ducks in the row, know all your costs, every little piecey part's figured out. They're going to want all that. And then there's a matter of, you having enough cash for this credit worthiness. And understanding that you got to stay within this budget, because there's a number of things that are finishes that the builder is going to give you what's called an allowance. We don't need to go in detail on that, but
okay.
But it's a matter of just like all the what ifs are covered, and so what they're looking at is like all the construction costs and a little safety number called contingency. So that there's all the unknowns and what ifs and things that always happen when you're building. There's always some kind of cost overrun. Well, most of the time, and
that's separate from the cost of the finishes, which was something that you just kind of brushed. And
yeah, the finishes is if and I'll mention this about it. It's like most builders will tell you, okay, when it comes to certain things like your cabinets, your countertops, your faucets, your flooring, they'll come up with a dollar figure. This is your budget or allowance. This is what you're allowed to spend.
Wow.
You can spend that or less.
Okay.
When you're picking these things out. But if you go over that, it better get made up somewhere else, or you're going to be out of pocket for that in cash.
Okay. So it's a total number that gets figured into it. Okay, so a lot of things that go into building a home versus buying an existing home, and we do have another video out there. There is no perfect home, even with existing homes, with new builds, which we consider as an existing home, even still under construction. They still have the areas developed. They have houses that are going up. They have all these things figured, even down sometimes to what the finishes are going to be. Contractors make mistakes sometimes, and even new homes could have things that need to be repaired as soon as you go in there.
Yeah, and here's the thing: it's just like when you're having a home built, you buy land and build a home. You're going to have a general contractor, and if you do this right, they're going to be overseeing all of this for you. But they're still doing it. They're a business doing it for profit. So, what people don't often consider is, okay, so, we got to buy the land and we can build it for so much. Well, there's more. So there's all the details we talked about, and paying the builder his profit and overhead. And bottom line is like, when people are talking to me about buying land and building, the short answer is, you do realize it's going to cost you more.
Yeah. Okay.
You're going to get a good fit for what you want. If your budget is realistic for your vision, then you're going to get exactly what you want.
Wow.
That you envisioned. But the thing about it is, that's going to cost more than if you just found something ready to go. And and it's significant amount of money. I did some calculations. I should update these numbers, but I've seen for your typical average, above median price home in the Denver metro area, buying that compared to building the same thing and buying the land and building, you're typically going to look at as much as like $150,000 to $200,000 more in cost.
Wow. Okay.
Now, there's ways to beat that, sure, but typically it's going to be all that.
And I do want to pick that apart a little bit before we continue forward. And the thing about building a custom home versus buying an existing home, a lot of the same concepts and components really go into play for both of them. But maybe one of the differences might be like the interest rates, something like that. I imagine that there's a reason why it's more expensive to build that existing home. Construction costs I know have risen in the past few years too. So there's a lot of components that are additional to that pre-existing home being built in say 1995 versus 2022.
Well, if you want to talk about expensive loans on that, if I really understand the question right, so
Maybe.
and so yeah, buying land, you're going to be paying a higher interest rate for buying the land and also for the construction loan.
Okay.
Fortunately, so there's going to be high rates, but that's going to be for a short period of time, just realistically. And then once it's all done, the lender will then, they'll be prepared for that. Once it's all signed off, you got your, final certificate of occupancy from the inspecting jurisdiction. Everything's signed off.
The permits are done, the construction's finished.
Everybody's happy.
Everyone's paid.
Yeah, that's important. Yeah, you won't get a permanent loan until all the ducks in a row. But it'll turn over to a permanent loan, and that'll be at a competitive rate.
Okay. So a lot of things that go into that, and a part of that, there is no perfect home series. You can go back and watch our video on being inspection ready, be prepared for that report, how to address it, what are the important topics on that. We can always discuss that another day, but having an inspection done through that entire process, whether you're doing an existing home or if you're having a home built, I think is probably fairly important.
Well, for me, there's a little difference. So if you're buying a home from a builder and you're at the point where it's a raw lot, hire a home inspector to oversee this thing, and they'll just check it regularly, and that way things can be get caught early and corrected. But when you're say if you're building a home from scratch and you're working with a contractor, and let's just say you're not very savvy with it, don't know what to look for or ask, and you're trusting that they're getting everything done right, hey, the only one that's overseeing them is the local jurisdiction, the city, the county, the building inspectors.
Making things are permitted correctly and that they're going to meet that code.
They're just meeting code.
Yeah.
And so they'll be looking for that, which is, that's pretty good. That covers most everything. But there's sometimes things that aren't necessarily perfect. And if you're not able to be on site very often, looking at things, checking and asking all the good questions, some people actually hire what they call an owner's representative.
Wow.
To somebody that has experience and knows what to look for and is keeping an eye on this for you and make sure it's up to your standards, not just the building department's. And so, guess what? That's another cost.
Yeah. Oh man, I hadn't even considered that. In I've been practicing real estate for several years, and I never thought that would be something that comes up. And I feel like I'm always
very few people do it, surprisingly.
Yeah, that's interesting. So
and at the end
they
could be butting heads with the builder. You didn't.
God.
Yeah, but the contract says I followed the contract, and it's just like. And then, if it goes real south, then you're in a lawsuit. And, very often, if whatever is in the contract
that's what prevails. So, interesting.
So, bottom line, in some ways, I guess, there's, I think something people don't think about is, if they're, especially first-time buyers, I get this a lot, and they want to buy land and build, they're not ready.
They're not ready. Yeah,
And
that's fair.
it's a lot to take on. For most, it's financially, but it's also, for everybody, it's how overwhelming the whole process can be.
It could be time too. Let's say you buy a lot and you're not ready for that next step in getting that construction loan approved and have the builder out there and you're 2 years in and you're still renting. I just don't see how it's going to be financially feasible for a lot of people, probably most people.
They don't think about that. They think that they can buy the land and start building right away. No, there's a process. After you buy the land and then you get the design build start. It could be, if things are running really fast, 6 months, you might be ready for a permit.
Wow.
And then you got to build.
Yeah.
And depending on what you're building, foothill construction doesn't happen in 6 months.
So we could be
9,
talking
12,
over winter,
18 months.
into the next few seasons. Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
and things stop or at least slow down in the winter.
Yeah, they have to. They're going to. Weather conditions do sway construction timelines a lot. That's something I'm sure a lot of experienced builders.
Yeah, you don't ground break in the middle of winter.
Consideration. Yeah, nobody wants a lot to fill up with water and then freeze. So
no, well, that's on the builder. So he's got to make sure that he's not doing things in a way that's going to mess things up.
So a few takeaways from this when it comes to existing homes that are new builds, or if they're already built, get the inspect being built from the ground up with the owner, their construction crew, is to maybe even consider having somebody oversee that process for them. And also that another takeaway that I got from it is that it could be cheaper to get an existing home as to building, not only saving in time, getting something that you can use functionally, more readily available to you, and that there's just no perfect home, whether it comes to the custom home that you're going to get done or that another builder is already doing for you and you're just coming in and buying that.
There's a point I want to add to this.
Oh, please do.
Because when you're out looking at used homes, for example, just say it's not a brand new home from a builder.
That's right.
And so it's a home that could be built in the 50s, 60s, 70s, or whenever. And a lot of people go, oh man, things are going to break, things are going to go wrong, and be spending a ton of money, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's why you have a home inspection done, is you get it all checked out. You get a good picture of what your anticipated maintenance and repair are going to be for an extended period of time. And if things are not working right or unsafe at the time that you're looking to buy the property, well, you work it out with the seller to get that handled. Sometimes they can fix it. Sometimes they'll give you a credit, negotiate the price. Even if there's some things in there, we got some old appliances. I have a deal right now that's closing that, water heater failed, the furnace failed.
Oh my gosh.
And the appliances in it, they're not new usually.
So we're talking about tens of thousands of dollars already.
Well,
that's what is going through my mind.
They got a $7,500 credit for the water heater and furnace from the seller.
Nice.
And the seller's throwing in a home warranty for everything else.
Nice.
So that's I think the important thing to think about and consider for most people, and when they're dealing with, they're thinking, the house is going to need a lot of work or something like that. When we're guiding people and paying attention, seeing what they like and they don't like, what they love and don't love about a home, I often will go through, okay, what are all the boxes being checked that fit your vision, your dream of what you want in a home? And man, if you start getting 75, 80, 90% of those boxes checked, that's often as good as it gets. And whereas building a home from scratch, you might get closer to the 100%. But not always, because guess what? You made compromises for cost, unless you've got unlimited funds. And so, so if you find an existing home that's a pretty darn good fit, be encouraging people, imagine, okay, what is it that's not done, that's missing for you? Can it happen with this home? Basically dream, with me. Is it possible? It's okay, that last thing you want, and it's a must-have, and there's no way to make it happen. Okay, let's go find another one. But let's just say, man, you've checked off 9 out of 10 things here on your list, and that one thing, it's like, it could be like, well, the kitchen's dated. Okay, the kitchen's functional. It's actually attractive right now. Let's just say, within the next 5 years, you remodel and get your perfect kitchen. Then all the boxes are checked. And that's just one example. There's always some different little thing. I even had a client that didn't want a lawn to mow, and everything he was seeing had a lawn.
Yeah.
I said,
what you're gonna
that's
get
a
for
tall
this.
order. So I bought him a book on xeriscaping. And so, and that, because that was the big obstacle. We were finding all these homes had every little box checked except too much lawn for him to mow. And it's like, it seems like a silly thing, but it's addressable. And that's going to be true for most things that aren't perfect in a home. It all can be addressable.
And oftentimes I'd really rather see somebody get a home that, if it's not everything that they're looking for, all that in a bag of chips, that I'd rather them get something and start building that equity, as opposed to them waiting for the perfect home. It never strolls along, because guess what? You can sit there and build equity. You can build your savings and then roll that over into a home that, quite frankly, what your preferences in that home may change several years from now.
Yeah.
What your necessities are in terms of your family size and growth, and maybe even location of where you want to be. Maybe you relocate out of state. I've had a lot of friends who have done that over the years. So it's kind of like, just get in when you can.
Yeah,
and start
I think you're
working on
right.
that.
Yeah,
Get the benefit and functionality of it, really.
I see with especially this is true for first-time buyers, where they really want all this stuff. They need all these things, and everything they want exceeds their budget. And so they get frustrated and think that they're not going to find anything. Whereas, like, you know what? Hey, what you said is so true. Find something, start. It's a stepping stone. And yeah, it's going to probably feel like a compromise. But after you're in a home for a number of years, and you start paying that loan down, get some equity built up, the values are still going to go up, and you're going to be paying down on that mortgage. So guess what? You're going to have some leverage to step up. And so that's going to happen a lot better and faster than if you just simply wait to have more money saved, or hope that you're going to get a raise at your work or something like that. That always takes longer than people think it's going to take. Whereas the fastest move is, okay, bite the bullet a little bit, buy something that you can live in now, and use that to build up your wealth to put you into what you really want.
And I think that might be an excellent place to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, that's a lot of insight that you've given us, that you've shared with on just existing homes, pre-existing homes, and people looking to buy land and get a construction loan. So it's a lot of information. I think it's going to help a lot of people determine what they want to do in the future, and maybe even help them determine when they want to do it.
And just so you know, I feel like I scratched the surface.
It is. I feel like there's
It's like
so
you
much more.
can see all these sheets I have here. I actually started writing a book on the topic. And I'm one of those people, I've been working on this in my free time, which there hasn't been much. So I'm going to suggest, if you have any concerns, questions about this, I'm going to tell it to you straight, and help address all the things you need to know if you're looking at buying land and building. Now, my job's not going to be to talk you out of it or into something else. I want you to have the information so you can make a good decision. And yeah, so if you end up saying, hey, I'm going to buy this lot and all that, I want you to have all the tools that you need so it'll go well for you. So whatever you decide, we'll go with. There it is.
So, all right, perfect.
Hey, thanks a lot for watching.
So, aha.